Hello, I'm Jared Taylor with American Renaissance. Last night, President Trump gave his first Oval Office address to the nation. He explained that we need to extend the wall on the Mexican border to keep out drugs and illegal immigrants. It was a short, straightforward speech. You can read it in just 4 or 5 minutes. But like everything the president does, it sent the people who hate him into a frenzy. Jill Abramson, former executive editor of the New York Times, called the speech a litany of lies. Vox said that it was an insult to the nation's intelligence. CNN said it was sprinkled with falsehoods. And Nancy Pelosi said the president is full of misinformation and even malice. I wonder what they would think of to yell about if he had recited the Lord's Prayer. When they're not out and out hysterical about Donald Trump and his wall, liberals and Democrats, and even a few squishy Republicans, say border walls don't work. In fact, they work very well. We're all supposed to laugh at the supposedly useless Great Wall of China, but the Chinese started building walls in the 7th century BC and kept building them for more than 2,000 years until the end of the Ming Dynasty. Total length, 13,000 miles. Did they build walls because they were too stupid to notice that they weren't working? No. Walls stopped countless incursions. One of the most famous modern walls was the Berlin Wall, which went up in 1961 to stop East Germans from streaming out of the communist part of the country into West Germany. The wall in Berlin was actually just a short part of a wall that ran the entire length of the border with West Germany. And it was a huge success. In the 16 years before the wall went up, nearly 220,000 East Germans fled to the West. For the 28 years after the wall went up, do you know how many people managed to get over it? 185. And that's the figure for defections along the entire East German border. It was an effective wall. Israel used to have a problem with terrorists and illegal immigrants sneaking in from Egypt. Not anymore. Take a look at this graph. Illegal crossings from Egypt rose from 2006 until 2010 when Israel decided to build a 16-foot fence. It was finished in 2013, and look what happened. Annual illegal crossings plummeted to 43, 21, 220, 18. That wasn't good enough for the Israelis. In 2017, they added another 10 feet to the fence in certain places, and the number of illegal crossings dropped to 0. I'd call that a success too. Here's another fence that works. The one that Hungary put up on its border with Serbia in 2015, when swarms of Middle Easterners were trying to get in. This graph shows the number of illegals caught by the border police every 2 days during 2015, before and after the fence was completed. After the fence, illegal crossings dropped essentially to 0. Our wall on the Mexican border works too. The blue line is the number of miles of wall. The actual number of miles is on the right. We're now just over 600. The orange line is the number of illegals caught coming across each year. The relationship is clear. The longer the wall, the tougher it is to sneak in. Border barriers work, and that's why so many countries have them. Fully 65% of the population of the world lives in countries that have a substantial wall or fence. Those are the countries that are in red on this map. 10% of the world's population lives on islands, so they don't need a fence or a wall. Only 25% of the world population lives in places with no barriers. Most of them are in Africa. No one wants to break into those places. Here are just a few border barriers from around the world. This is Saudi Arabia's fence on the Iraqi border. This is Turkey's wall against Iran. Here is Turkey's wall on the Syrian border. Pretty serious wall. This is Ecuador's wall with Peru. Here is Argentina's wall to keep out Paraguayans. Bulgaria has a fence to keep out Turks. And this is Iran's wall on the Afghan and Pakistan border. Good luck getting over that. Of course, it's only white countries that get yelled at when they build walls. And boy, are they yelling about President Trump's wall. But listen closely to what they yell. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says a wall wouldn't work, but it would also be, get this, immoral. What makes it immoral? It would keep people out. It's immoral because it would work. Remember, Nancy Pelosi wants to legalize the illegals, and she says she's very proud of her grandson who wishes he had brown skin and dark eyes, like his Guatemalan friend Antonio. So beautiful, says Nancy. The face of the future for our country, she says. So she opposes the wall because it would work. It would keep out Antonio. And Jill Abramson, formerly of the New York Times, whom I mentioned earlier, she says the wall would be inhumane. That's because it would keep people out because it would work. The same goes for Tim Kistner, who used to work for Homeland Security under President Obama. He says the wall won't work. But then he says, and I quote, "The wall also has a more pernicious effect." Well, what's that? It would discourage immigrants. In other words, it would work. But I'll close with the authoritative publication on border security, Teen Vogue. Yep, Teen Vogue. It ran a recent article called "The Immorality of Trump's Border Wall Explained." It's by Raul Carrillo, Alan Aja, and Julian Hernandez. Mayflower names, obviously. Here is their key passage. As people flee the violence and poverty exacerbated by U.S. imperialism and neoliberal trade, we must defend their freedom of movement because if anyone owes anyone, the federal government owes migrants. In other words, we're responsible for the violence and poverty that make the third world unlivable. So the government has a duty to let in illegals. The wall would be immoral because it would keep them out. You didn't know your little sister was getting psychotic lefty rubbish along with her fashion tips, did you? Well, next time you hear someone saying the wall shouldn't be built because walls don't work, dig a little deeper. Chances are it's someone who likes illegals and doesn't want a wall because a wall would work. It would keep them out. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, I invite you to subscribe to our Amran Podcasts YouTube channel. And please visit our website at amran.com. That's AMREN.com.